on to the next game, maybe game of the week, maybe
Yeah.
game of the year. This is a game that is a long time coming. The two teams that have kind of been the class of the AFC, the two top quarterbacks. You've got the classic rivalry game here. It's Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs going to Orchard Park to face Bills Mafia, the Buffalo Bills. And yeah, I mean, what can you say? This is going to be a huge game. The Chiefs look like the most flawed, undefeated team maybe ever in terms of the way, but they keep finding ways to win consistently. This is just a team that is building consistent case for, maybe an undefeated season. However, I think they slip up here. I think that the Bills pass rush gets to Pat Mahomes. And I think Josh Allen is a guy who, you can't afford to slip up. If Josh Allen is on his game, then Pat Mahomes is going to also have to be on his game. And it's going to be the rare case of, maybe Pat Mahomes having to play catch up against a quarterback who's just flat out playing better this season than him. What are your takeaways from this game? Turtle, do you want to start?
Yeah, I was going to say I think Buffalo might be my best bet so far. Look, Kansas City is flirted with fire. I think it's interesting to think about if Kansas City had lost a couple more of these games, they probably, you can make argument, should have lost. What would this line be? Right now, the line's at Buffalo -2.5. And I, quite frankly, I think you can make the argument that Buffalo has played better than Kansas City so far this season. Buffalo's one of their only two losses when they were super depleted and played the Houston Texans, and then they had one loss, I think, early in the year. They lost two in a row. They lost to Baltimore and they lost to Houston, and they have been nothing but solid since then. So look, I really like Buffalo this week. You can't win every game in the NFL. Even the 17-0 Patriots, they were a much, I guess, on paper, better team than this Chiefs team. And at some point, the Chiefs have to lose a football game. The one thing that might hold me back is the fact that this is probably going to have big implications as to who might get the number one seed in the AFC. So I don't think the Chiefs are going to be down on this game by any means. This is more of a buy on Buffalo and how well they've been playing over the last couple of weeks. I think their defense has come together. There are a lot of questions going into the year with no Matt Milano. I think Sean McDermott's getting the most out of that defense right now. And that offense with the addition of Amari Cooper, I think he should be playing this week, is from what I've seen. I think he played last.
I don't think he didn't play last week. I don't think he's going to play this week. No, I'm sorry. He should play this week. Keon Coleman's
out. Yeah. Keon Coleman's out, but that's okay. If it's Amari Cooper and Khalil Shakir, I do think Dalton Kincaid is banged up.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably important to keep a status eye on that. But I think Buffalo, over the span of a sample size of 10 games, 9 games, you can make the argument that Buffalo has been a better football team than Kansas City. And I think if Kansas City had lost a couple of those games, this line would be bigger than 2.5. At Orchard Park, that stadium is going to be amped up for this game. I really like Buffalo under a field goal because I think this is a game that Buffalo is probably a little bit more motivated to win than Kansas City is. Because Kansas City has shown that even if they don't have the one seed, they can still doesn't really matter for that. But Buffalo is going to want to win this football game. And I actually think there's a little bit of value on Buffalo under a field goal just based off of where the level of each two teams and where they're playing at. So give me Buffalo -2.5 at home with Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen's been playing much better than Mahomes this year. I think that defense is going to be up and ready. Amari Cooper, Khalil Shakir, I'm good with those two weapons. And Kansas City has to lose at some point, and this is the team to do it. So give me Buffalo -2.5.
Yeah, I'm actually going to disagree. I'm going to take Kansas City. I think in the last couple of weeks, Josh Allen has made a couple of turnover worthy plays that he hasn't been making all season. Um, so in a sense, it might be a little bit of a regression. But yeah, they are trying to patch together a receiving core. It feels kind of like they're doing it on the fly. And I think that's really the main reason why Josh Allen is making some of these mistakes, these turnovers that he wasn't having all year, wasn't making all year. Um, I do have to shout out Von Miller. You know, it feels like he's still getting spot reps, but he's playing uh, efficiently, exceptional um, in those spot reps. And then Greg Rousseau and Epinesa have been playing well as well. And that's been my biggest concern since the start of the season for Kansas City is their left tackle and right tackle positions. Kingsley Sumataya had a really bad week stepping in for Wanya Morris. So if he plays at left tackle this week, that's going to be the position that they're going to look to expose. The Buffalo defense is going to look to expose that. But with that being said, I really do feel like we're in the Jordan phase of Mahomes' career where he's going to get every call. He's going to get every no call. Jawan Taylor's going to line up in the neutral zone at least 5 times, and nothing's going to be said. And it only takes a few plays like that to go Kansas City's favor. And I think you combine that with some of the turnover worthy plays that we're seeing out of Josh Allen. I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. I think they stay unbeaten, at least for the time being.
One play I actually really like in this game, and I think he's actually going to get schemed and targeted a lot, especially against, I think, probably as we get into the game, more like 3rd and 4 cover guys. In terms of the depth chart for Kansas City is going to be a guy like Khalil Shakir. Um, I think, with the Amari Cooper injury and Dalton Kincaid banged up as well, I think he's going to be a focal point for him. Could be one for an anytime touchdown. I'm not really sure on the spread on this game. I Patrick Mahomes is an underdog. I think I lean that way. I like Josh Allen. But I think they are going to be. I think they're going to be having trouble moving the ball with James Cook on the ground against this run defense with Kansas City, which has become. I mean, that is the strength of this team. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I think 46 is a little high. In terms of points, just with how Kansas City's been able to move the ball down the field or the lack of efficiency thereof, and just kind of I think they're going to disrupt Josh Allen a little bit, maybe force him into a turnover or two, and I think that could be the difference. I like the under, and I like the Chiefs to take care of business in this one, but I wouldn't be surprised, especially at home, if Josh Allen is able to pull it out and kind of, make something out of nothing with, I'm not sure if I don't think Amari Cooper is going to play in this one. Keon Coleman you mentioned as well. I mean, I just think there's going to be a lack of ability to move the ball down the field against this Kansas City defense, which is going to limit points for the total. And then I think Kansas City can stick around to squeak out a close one, especially if they're giving them 2.5.
I mean, if the Chiefs are able to go into Buffalo and win this game against this Bills team that's going to be so motivated to get a win against the Chiefs, you got to pick them to go undefeated for the rest of the season, right? If they're able to pull this one out, that's going to be a huge step towards getting to that, feeling like the inevitable Chiefs' 3rd championship and possibly a fully undefeated season. And if they're at home through the playoffs, that crowd is going to be making it difficult for any team. Yeah. And once you get to the Super Bowl, with Pat Mahomes, all bets are off. I'm not betting against that guy. Yes, Christian.
And Pat, they got after this, they have, I believe, at Carolina
at some point.
Yep. At Carolina, Las Vegas, the Chargers, at Cleveland, Houston, at Pittsburgh, at Denver. So it's possible, but obviously it's the NFL. It's tough.
Yeah. down the stretch, that those last 3 games are going to be tough. Houston, Pittsburgh, and at Denver.
They'll probably sit somebody.
Oh, what
too. I'm
about
sure they'll sit
what
somebody.
about at Cleveland? What about at Cleveland? That might
They
be
will
tough.
probably.
those last
they will
3 are going to
probably
be
sit.
those last
they
3 are
will
going to be
sit
tough,
their
as I said
starters.
before.
They will sit their starters for sure.
Yeah.
If they're going for an undefeated
that
season, you think
Chargers
they're going to sit
game
their
might
starters?
be tough too.
Huh?
I don't think
Yeah,
they care enough
Chargers
about
game.
an undefeated season.
If you're
Really?
undefeated coming out of the Pittsburgh game and you're going at Denver and Denver's, let's assume they're in the hunt still.
Then you got to put
What
them
are you
out.
doing?
Then you
Play
play.
your
Then you
starters
play
and
them.
put them out of the game.
Then you play
No, if
'em.
they've got the 1 seed wrapped up, I can almost guarantee you they're not trotting Travis
Andy Reid's
Kelce out
Andy
there.
Reid's not going for
Yeah.
that.
Man.
Especially
I don't
the
know.
17
We'll
game
see.
season ruined that, because if they have 16 games, they wouldn't have to worry about that. At this rate, though, if they win this game, they might have the 1 seed locked up by freaking Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. This would
So
be a big win for either team. It would be a huge win. It's what makes it a huge game. Another huge game